Hello, my name is Emily in First Class Cooking in San Francisco, and I am so excited to prepare bagels with you because I think this is such a great bread, a really forgiving bread, and also quite flexible bread. So we are making these tomorrow in the afternoon in a class together. To prepare the dough beforehand, we need to prepare a soaker, we need to prepare a biga. So this can happen now this afternoon when you're getting this video. It could be after dinner, it could be late before you go to bed. Just at some point before you go to sleep tonight, we need to set up our dough. So the dough needs between 8 to 24 hours to develop flavor and to hydrate so that we can work with it tomorrow. So if you ordered the ingredient kits, you got two large envelopes. One is the biga, one is the soaker. They might seem very similar. The soaker contains the freshly milled spelt, and the biga is flour with just a little bit of yeast already mixed in there. We're going to combine both of these with some water and let them set up tonight. So biga is a form of, if you made sourdough earlier in quarantine, it's a form of leavening. You take a larger proportion of your dough in advance. As you can see, this is the bulk of our flour. This little bit of flour is what we're going to be mixing together tomorrow. So the other thing that came in your kit was barley malt syrup. If you don't have barley malt syrup, you can use an equal amount of honey. Barley is going to give a slightly more tannic, deeper flavor, but honey works absolutely fine. So the water that I've prepared, I want this to be between 95 and 110 degrees. You can take a thermometer and measure that out. Or what I often do is just let the faucet run very gently, so we're not wasting water, over my wrist until I don't notice a difference in temperature. So that's what I call body temperature water. And yeast needs to be proofed in that temperature. If it's proofed in water too hot, it simply can die before it has a chance to develop flavor into the dough. So we're going to start mixing those up. So I have two bowls. Doesn't matter, one's sort of a medium, one's a smaller medium. Those will be enough for the amount we're making here, but one's going to hold our biga and one's going to hold our soaker. I am using a scale. If you don't have a scale, we're putting 140 grams of water in one, 142 in the other. They're both around 2/3 of a cup and close enough that eyeballing it will be all right. So I am going to start with my soaker ingredients. Tearing open the bag. Now I use fresh spelt. That was partly to show off. Spelt is a wheat that does have more gluten than your typical all-purpose and has a really great nutty flavor. I have to be careful that I don't use too much of it. Like if I did 100% spelt, they're going to be a denser bagel. But I mix it in there so you guys can start to dabble in the excitement of freshly milled flour. And fresh milled flour means that, yes, I started with groats and milled this into flour. So think similarly to like coffee. If you buy whole beans and grind them into grounds, you have a more vibrant, more flavorful coffee that hasn't gotten stale as it's sat and been milled. So I am mixing my grains together. I'm going to add in the barley malt syrup. So this is 35 grams. That is just shy of 2 tablespoons. So if you're doing this by hand without a scale, it's going to be about 2 tablespoons plus, or 1 tablespoon plus 2 teaspoons. I'm going to mix all of this in here. It would be easier to mix my water in first. I'm going to grab a little spatula to get all of this up. And then I'm going to tear down my scale so it's at 0 and put in 142 grams of water. Now this water could be slightly cooler. I don't need it to be ice water, but if I want it to be slightly cooler, it could be. I might come back with a spatula and wipe that clean. All right, so this is on 0. $142 is where I'm going. And there we are, 142. So I'm going to set that one aside. I'm going to wipe my hands and then prepare my other portion. I don't want to carry forth that sugar. So this one is our biga, and this has our flour and our yeast, a teeny amount of yeast already mixed in there. Tear this one down, and I'm going to put in 140 grams of water, which again is about 2/3 of a cup. All right. So now I'm just going to combine these two together. The spoon that already has the barley malt on it, I'm going to use that to mix this up. You could use a spatula or a spoon. There's a special tool called a dough spatula, which is like a ring with a smaller hole within it. which is nice for mixing doughs. But we're going to prepare these together and then leave them at room temperature. So they will just sit covered so we don't get a skim on top or skin on top of them. And I tend to take a plastic bag and loosely cover it and put it over. I can also take a towel and just loosely cover it like that. What I don't want to do is do a super tight seal of plastic wrap because this dough is going to expand. And if it's wrapped too tightly, the dough won't be able to expand underneath it. So that gets smooth. And you can see the color in here. If you're using honey, you're not going to have quite as dark of a color, but that's all right. And then this one, our biga, our flour and water with a teeny amount of yeast. I'm just going to mix that together. If you're in a very warm environment, like if you're in a tropical place making these, they may proof really quickly. So you might let them stand at room temperature for about 6 to 8 hours and then put them in the fridge overnight. You just want to pull them out from the fridge about 2 hours before you want to use them so that they'll be warm and pliant enough to make our dough otherwise. So that's that. So not too much labor. So you can see that's loosely blended. I'll probably get a hand in there and mix it a little bit better. This one is loosely blended as well. And that's that. They're going to stand covered in a covered in a towel, and we'll come back to them tomorrow morning to make the rest of our dough. So if you have any questions, send me an email, send me a text. I'm happy to help you out, but that's all you need to do tonight. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.